Welcome to Moose Plays, everyone. I'm the Liquor Moose, and today we will be going over my finals team builder for the second season of the UPA D-League. This week we will be going up against CMR, coach of the San Antonio Spores. And yeah, this is the big time, boys. Like, I mean, it's finals. This is my first finals appearance ever. I'm not sure about CMR, but either way, it's my first finals, so I'm hyped. I'm sure CMR is pretty hyped because like he came on as a replacement coach at 2-5, and now he's in the finals, so that's pretty good. So obviously, we're both like we both really want to win a championship, and as well, the winner of this will be promoted to main league. So I really want to be promoted. I'm sure CMR does as well. So we both have to give it our all, and yeah. Last time, CMR took a really close 1-0 game, but it was a very good game nonetheless. It went pretty much like down to the last Pokemon on each side, so either way, I'm sure this is going to be a really good game, but obviously I need to find a way to win. So with that in mind, let's take a look at CMR's team. If you don't remember it from our last battle, he inherited Tapu Koko, Garchomp, Mega Medicham, Alolan Muck, Vaporeon, Decidueye, Uxie, Registeel, Moltres, Porygon 2, Regice, and Clefairy. His Z move users being the Garchomp, Decidueye, and the Regice. So, biggest threat on CMR's team is definitely the Tapu Koko. That thing is just way too fast and exerts a lot of pressure on my team since the only mon I have, like my fastest mon, speed ties with it. So it's going to be a little tricky in terms of trying to be able to revenge it naturally. But besides that, Garchomp can kind of be a problem, even though I have like a decently good answer to it in my Skarmory. I don't think Mega Medicham shows up. It didn't show up last time, and upon second consideration, I do have a lot of offensive threats that can easily deal with the Mega Medicham. I'll be a little surprised if it shows up, but I mean, it's kind of whatever. And then on top of that, Moltres and Decidueye proved to be pretty big issues last time, so we'll have to watch out for that. But yeah, those are definitely the main things. Like the rest of his things, like Alolan Muck can be relatively problematic, I'm not gonna lie. But that's the thing. Like he has like a few really big threatening Pokemon, like basically the top 3, and then a lot of his other Pokemon are problematic, which yes, you have to deal with, but aren't necessarily as big centralizing factors, I want to say, in team building. So after a few mocks, I adjusted the team a little bit, and basically this is the team I came up with. So let's go over it right now. And first off, we have I guess it doesn't really matter. First off, we have a Pokemon that's like very similar to what we brought last time in my Tornadus Therian. We have the exact same EV spread, as it's definitely the most optimized for this match, as this is this is one of the main reasons that I don't expect CMR to bring the Mega Medicham, because with even just 100 investment into special attack, Hurricane's a guaranteed knockout on max HP Mega Medicham. I have Z here, like basically because I don't want to miss Fly, but otherwise it's still a pretty good nuke for some of CMR's team. We originally in the last game we did take out U-turn for taunt, but this time we have both. We ended up taking off knockoff instead. I think netting some momentum on Tornadus is going to be huge this game, and in my opinion, it was definitely one of the reasons that I, that I ended up dropping the game against CMR last time. But yeah, taunt is still here because in a few mocks I did see that Trick Room Porygon 2 was a thing, and looking at his team, I'm not really surprised to see. Like, I wouldn't necessarily be surprised to see a Trick Room mode. Oh, excuse me. Oh, jeez. Sorry, I just ate. But yeah, so I need to Taunt to shut that down, plus Recover. Taunt can also stop all of his potential defoggers, barring Tapu Koko. U-turn, obviously, there for shenanigans, and Icy Wind is good just for the Garchomp, as it is a guaranteed 2-hit KO, and if he is Scarf, then slows down Scarf Chomp to a range where I can knock it out with another Icy Beam, but in reality, I'd probably just click Hurricane after that, because after an Icy Wind, it should be in range of a Hurricane. So again, not too much to say about this. It's very similar to the one I brought last time, barring no knockoff. But yeah, moving on, we do have sort of an obvious spring, and this set went through a lot of variations. So I knew that no attack Skarmory was definitely the play. It just seemed like the best thing that I could have. Like I said last time, CMR doesn't have the best hazard removal. Again, not really his fault since he inherited this team, but his hazard removal is only Koko, Decidueye, and Moltres. So I wanted to hazard stack him with both rocks and spikes. Rocks really only for the Moltres, but honestly, other than the Moltres, like, I'd rather just have spikes, and I guess maybe for the Uxie. So I ended up going with spikes and then taunt. We have enough speed here to outspeed anything that wants to be speed creeping max speed Adamant Azumarill, which that's the benchmark I went for because, like, in the few of the mocks that I had, letting his Decidueye defog was definitely a backbreaker in those mocks. I need to keep my hazards up as best as I can, and honestly, looking at the two speed tier, like our two team speed tiers, the only thing I could really see CMR creeping is that max speed Adamant Azumarill, as that does outspeed a no speed Diggersby, because that was the other thing I was considering. But yeah, I'm honestly, like, I'm not too sure because, like, because Decidueye is a Pokemon that can afford to run a little more speed than that. Like, he could try to outspeed Adamant max speed Diggersby, but that's way too much investment for a Skarmory to be able to afford to run. So yeah, I mean, if he does end up defogging my spikes away while I stay in with my Skarmory and I taunt him after, I can set up the spike after, so it's not that big of a deal. And then past that, we have Roost for the obvious recovery. And then Toxic is actually a really good bring in this match, as it basically makes it so his bulky stuff like the Porygon 2, and to an extent if he brings the Regice and the Uxie, it basically makes it so they don't have a completely free switch into my Skarmory, so I can start chipping those bulky things down. Especially, and excuse me, as well, the Moltres is a big one. Since I don't have Stealth Rocks, I do want to try to find a way to chip it down relatively well, so Toxic is definitely there for that. Again, I already explained the speed, and then just the rest into Max Fizdef to be able to switch into Garchomp a lot easier. So yeah, that is the Skarmory. Next up, we have something that didn't make an appearance, but man, it's just been something that's kind of been a staple on my team pretty much since the start of this, pretty much since the first time I brought it, which was week 5 against Clyde. Like these sub-baton pass Jolteons are always just so good every time I bring them, and this is definitely my dedicated lead, as this kind of has to be my Coco check. This kind of has to be my Coco check this match, as, like, he brought Leftovers last time with Special, and I brought Assault Vest Diggersby last time, so I think he's going to try to find a way to try to beat that, because Assault Vest Diggersby was actually quite a good pivot into his Tapu Koko. So we're bringing this instead, well, not instead, but, like, in place of that to be kind of a Coco pivot. It's definitely my lead in the case where, like, there's not a lot of situations where I don't see CMR leading Tapu Koko. Unless he decides to bring the Moltres, but I think he's less inclined to bring the Moltres this time, seeing that my Azumarill has gone, like, absolutely nuts this season, and, like, the fact that I do like to bring Jolteon sets like this that can not, like, somewhat take advantage of Moltres, but not completely. But yeah, so Sub-Baton Pass, obvious shenanigans, lets me scout if he's Scarf Chomp. Always, like, after the sub, if he switches in Garchomp, I always Baton Pass, because if he is Scarf Chomp, then he breaks the sub, and then I BP out into my Tornadus to get a free U-turn off, and if he gets aggressive and stays in on my Tornadus, clicking Earthquake again for whatever reason, then I just start going into Skarmory and start stacking him, basically. So, like, this is just, like, the perfect Scarf Chomp scout, basically. But yeah, so I really like this Jolteon set. It's worked pretty much wonders throughout the entire season. We're speed creeping a max speed Garchomp because he has a gigantic speed gap between the Koko and the Garchomp, and then that's literally it. But yeah, so and then the rest into special attack, and we threw in a modest nature just to get some extra power and to be able to 1v1 a Koko without Roost a little bit easier. But yeah, so I like, there is a little bit to explain with the set, but I mean, I've explained it enough already this entire season, so there's not too much to say about this one. But this set is something interesting, because I personally didn't exactly think that Azumarill had the best matchup the last time I faced off against CMR, specifically because of that Tapu Koko. But seeing as how insane it's gone in the postseason, I couldn't resist bringing it, and this was definitely the best. This was definitely the best set to bring. So we are Power Up Punch. We're Power Punch Lumberry, as like his Azumarill, Jesus, his Vaporeon is definitely his best response to the Azumarill, in my opinion. So I'm able to Power Up Punch and set up on it relatively easily, And if he doesn't decide to try to fire off Scald, I do have Lumberry to be able to cure a Scald burn. So my player ups can, at +2 my player ups do like min 75, but even just at +1 I do guarantee 2-hit KO a max physically defensive Vaporeon. And then past that, Liquidation is definitely, like, barring the Play Rough for his water immunities and his Dragon type, Play Rough is definitely the next best attack to have, just because, I mean, it's Play Rough. And then Aqua Jet to be able to, if I can ever get into the situation where I can just click Jesus, words. If I can ever just get into a situation to click Aqua Jet, then that's always the better, to have a decently good late game win condition to be able to clean up some weakened teams. Our speed is here for a no speed Vaporeon, and then the rest into, the rest into just bulk. With the 4 has to go into special defense because he does have Porygon 2, which could end up downloading. And I always want to make sure it gets an attack boost, because if he's download, he's more than likely special. There's not really a reason for a physical Porygon 2 to run. There's not really a good reason for a physical Porygon 2 to run download. They usually want something else. Usually Trace, but anyways, like, I just really wanted to try out this Azumarill set. This is the last time that I can use it this season. Scarfire Dragon, like, seemed alright in the matchup, and it seemed alright the last time I brought it too, but Scarfire Dragon's one of those threats that just, like, when it's an obvious bring, your opponent preps for it relatively well, and usually you can handle it well. And plus he has, like, Garchomp, which could be Scarf, which automatically pretty much trumps out Scarfire Dragon. Plus, Muck doesn't take too much if he's Assault Vest like he was last time, so I'm kind of banking on him prepping more so for Scarfire Dragon than for Azumarill. So I'm going for this. I'm just going to try this route out instead. I'm sorry for all the stuttering, by the way. I am, like, really, really nervous. I really want to win this game. But anyways, next up we have kind of a stunt, not going to lie. We're 4 attacks by Gallade, because if you look at his roster, it seems like set up Gallade food. And to an extent it is, but he does have that UC which switches in relatively freely, and as well, like, I don't know, it was more so just for the surprise factor. Like, setup Gallade just seems so good anyways, so I'm just going to try to surprise him with a 4 attack set. Drain Punch gives us lots of longevity. He can still 2-hit KO all of his things that are weak to fighting. Ice Punch is specifically here for the Garchomp. I originally had Poison Jab here, and then it wasn't until after my mocks I said, wait a minute, why don't I just have Earthquake for the Koko? Because that's a guaranteed knockout, and can still hit the Muck for super effective damage. I guess it was more so I wasn't concerned about the Clefairy anymore, because I think CMR would have to have some balls to actually bring the Clefairy. But anyways, and then past that we have Knockoff specifically for the Uxie, and has the added benefit of hitting Decidueye, and of course the utility of just knocking off items. And then obviously our speed is here for the Garchomp, because I mean that's that's just obvious, and then the rest into HP. And Spadef is Spadef is naturally higher, so Porygon does not get the special attack download boost. And finally, we have a good, it's a pretty good late game win condition. Unfortunately, we have to be Jolly Diggersby, because if I am Adamant Diggersby, I do not outspeed a max speed Tapu Koko. You could say, like I mean, to be fair, Adamant Diggersby Scarf does outspeed a Tapu Koko that is speed creeping my Tornadus, but if CMR wants to play it safe, he could just end up running max speed to try to speed tie with my Jolteon. So I just said, you know what, screw it, I'll just play safe. This thing still OHKOs with Earthquake. Obviously it can't OHKO through Sugar Berry. But then, yeah, like, same thing as last time, like, Return Earthquake Knockoff, CMR has a very hard time switching into, and then obviously I just have U-Turn for the general shenanigans. But yeah, Scarf Diggersby, I think, like, once his, like, really bulky stuff like the Porygon and stuff like that is knocked out, but even then I could knock off the Porygon's Eviolite and it's not going to be nearly as much of an issue. But once, like, the really bulky stuff goes down, and I can get to the stuff that I can 2-hit KO with Earthquake, especially if I can keep some hazards up, like, I think Scarf Diggersby can really put in the work, so I'm really hoping this works. And yeah, that is the team. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section down below. How do you think we will fare out? Do you think we can win our first championship in our first finals appearance, or will we go home with nothing? I really want to win, obviously, but yeah, so keep your guys' eyes out on the channel tomorrow for when the match versus CMR goes live, and thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.